Well, hello, 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 hello. I am AnneHumphrey. I am super excited about what's going to take place tonight. Tonight is a live reading from The Science of Getting Rich. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Wallace D. Wattles. And we're going to be reading from chapter 2. Chapter 2. And the name of that chapter is There is a Science of Getting Rich. I am thrilled. I am super excited. Only thing I'm going to say is fasten your seatbelts. This is a Facebook Live video. And for those who are going to view this video on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to the Awe Show. Please do subscribe to the Awe Show because I am going to read this book through its entirety. And more importantly, I am going to share some of the formulas that I have come across that just make sense because Wallace D. Wattles was ahead of his time to be able to write such a magnificent book, The Science of Getting Rich. So the time now is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as I said earlier, we're doing a live reading. Chapter 2, There is a Science of Getting Rich. So let's begin. There is a science of getting rich, and it is an exact science, like algebra or arithmetic. There are certain laws which govern the process of acquiring riches. Once these laws are learned and obeyed by any man, he will get rich with the mathematical certainty. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. Those who do things in this certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich. While those who do not do things in this certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor. It is a natural law that like causes also produce like effects. And therefore, any man or woman who learns to do things in this certain way will infallibly get rich. That the above statement is true is shown by the following facts. Getting rich is not a matter of environment, for if it were, all the people in certain neighborhoods would become wealthy. The people of one city would all be rich, while those of other towns would all be poor. Or the inhabitants of one state would roll in wealth, while those of an adjoining state would be in poverty. But everywhere we see rich and poor living side by side in the same environment and often engaged in the same vocations. When two men are in the same locality and in the same business, and one gets rich while the other remains poor, it shows that getting rich is not primarily a matter of environment. Some environments may be favorable than others, But when two men in the same business or in the same neighborhood and one gets rich while the other fails, it indicates that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. And further, the ability to do things in this certain way is not due solely to the possession of talent, for many people who have great talent remain poor, while others who have very little talent get rich. Studying the people who have got rich, we find that they are an average lot in all respects, having no greater talents and abilities than other men. It is evident that they do not get rich because they possess talents and abilities that other men have not, but because they happen to do things in a certain way. Getting rich is not the result of saving or thrift. Many penurious people are poor, while free spenders often get rich. Nor is getting rich due to doing things which others fail to do. For two men in the same business often do almost exactly the same things, and one gets rich while the other remains poor or becomes bankrupt. From all these things, we must come to the conclusion that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. If getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way, and if like causes always produce like effects, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich. And the whole matter is brought within the domain of exact science. The question arises here whether this certain way may not be so difficult that only a few may follow it. This cannot be true, as we have seen, so far as natural ability is concerned. Talented people get rich, and blockheads get rich. Intellectual, brilliant people get rich, and very stupid people get rich. Physically strong people get rich, and weak and sickly people get rich. Some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential. But in so far natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who have a sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. Also, we have seen that it is not a matter of environment. Location counts for something. One would not go to the heart of the Sahara and expect to do successful business. Getting rich involves the necessity of dealing with men and being where there are people to deal with. And if these people are inclined to deal in the way you want to deal, so much the better. But that is about as far as environment goes. If anybody else in your town can get rich, so can you. And if anybody else in your state can get rich, so can you. Again, it is not a matter of choosing some particular business or profession. People get rich in every business and in every profession, while their next door neighbors in the same vocation remain in poverty. It is true that you will do best in a business which you like and which is congenial to you. And if you have certain talents which are well developed, you will do best in a business which calls for the exercise of those talents. Also, you will do best in a business which is suited to your locality. An ice cream parlor would do better in a warm climate than in Greenland. And a salmon fishery will succeed better in the Northwest than in Florida, where there are no salmon. But aside from these general limitations, getting rich is not dependent upon your engaging in some particular business, but upon your learning to do things in a certain way. If you are now in business and anybody else in your locality is getting rich in the same business while you are not getting rich, it is because you are not doing things in the same way that the other person is doing them. No one is prevented from getting rich by lack of capital. True, as you get capital, the increase becomes more easy and rapid. But one who has capital is already rich and does not need to consider how to become so. No matter how poor you may be, if you begin to do things in the certain way, you will begin to get rich and you will begin to have capital. The getting of capital is part of the process of getting rich. And it is part of the result which invariably follows the doing of things in a certain way. You may be the poorest man on the continent, and he may be deeply in debt. You may have neither friends, influence, nor resources. But if you begin to do things in this way, you must infallibly begin to get rich. For like causes must produce like effects. If you have no capital, you can get capital. If you are in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you are in the wrong location, you can go to the right location. And you can do so by beginning in your present business and in your present location to do things in the certain way which causes success. Wow. This is powerful. Thank you, Daryl, for stopping by. This is so powerful, powerful. Listen, guys, I don't know what else to tell you. This book, you've got to read it. You have to read it day in and day out, because you're going to see something that you hadn't seen. You're going to hear something that you hadn't heard. It just makes sense. As I said in my previous video, There is a science to everything that we do, and we have just never been taught the science of getting rich. And Wallace D. Wattles wrote this in 1910, 1910, over 100 years ago, because he knew that there is a science to getting rich. That concludes chapter 2. Again, chapter 2 is there is a science of getting rich. Now, like I always like to do, is I like to share some other beautiful nuggets that I've read, and it's going to come out of chapter 3, and then I'm going to do a video of the full live read of chapter 3. But I just want to share a couple of little nuggets that Wallace D. Wattles put in this book. If you're looking for answers, if you're feeling stuck, if you just don't know that thing that you say, goodness, I'm grateful, I'm happy, I'm healthy, but I just need this edge. This is the book. This is the book you must read, The Science of Getting Rich. So as I said, I'm going to read something from out of chapter 3. It is called, Is Opportunity Monopolized? You see the questions that he offers? See, he's dealing with the mindset, because how many people really think everything is monopolized? It's a mindset, folks. Again, chapter 3. I'm just going to read something from chapter 3 that I just thought was amazing. Amazing. This man was on to something. He was on to something. And thank you, Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, for putting it in a book before you left planet Earth. So here it is. Oh my God, this is so profound. So I like to share this, and I just want to kind of show you guys what I do. This is from this page here that I'm going to be reading from. Okay, because I take notes, I'm highlighting, I'm writing things down, because it is clicking. It's almost like as if I'm being reminded of the things that I already knew when I arrived here on planet Earth. It's clicking. Everything is clicking. So let me just share this. He begins to say, he writes, the working class may become the master class whenever they will begin to do things in a certain way. The law of wealth is the same for them as it is for all others. This they must learn, and they will remain where they are as long as they continue to do as they do. The individual worker, however, is not held down by the ignorance of the mental slothfulness of his class. He can follow the tide of opportunity to riches, and this book will tell him how. Oh my God. This man is a phenomenon. This book has been around since 1910. 1910. And I don't know, I've been talking to other leaders here in Broward County. I mean, I'm talking about some heavy hitters here in Broward County that's never heard of the science of getting rich. They're like, Ann, what are you talking about? I have no idea what I have no idea what you're speaking about. What are you talking about? I mean, I'm speaking to all people through all walks of life who have no idea about what I'm speaking about. I've got to read this other thing here. This is what he says. Again, this is all chapter 3. New forms are constantly being made, and older ones are dissolving, but all are shapes assumed by one thing. There is no limit to the supply of formless stuff. or original substance. The universe is made out of it, but it was not all used in the making of the universe. This man is so deep. The spaces in, through, and between the forms of the visible universe are permeated and filled with the original substance, with the formless stuff, with the raw material of all things. 10,000 times as much has been made might still be made. And even then, we should not have exhausted the supply of universal raw material. Wow. You've got to sit on this. This is the reason why I'm encouraging everyone. You've got to print your books. You've been looking for answers. You already know that there's something else. That it's not that you're not smart enough. It's not that you're not executing. It's not that you're not knowing and getting up and being grateful. It has nothing to do with that. It's just because we were never taught. We were never taught. There is no class in school that ever taught us the science of getting rich. They don't teach this in school. Not at all. They don't teach this in school. Trust me, I know. They don't teach this in school at all. I'm speaking to educators. I'm speaking to politicians. I'm speaking to journalists. I'm speaking to attorneys. Everyone of all walks of life. I'm speaking to mothers. I'm speaking to fathers. And no one has heard of this book. And it's not because they're not avid readers. It's not because they don't listen to beautiful, motivational or inspirational things. They've never heard of Wallace D. Wattles. They're like, who is that? What? Some of the educators who I know personally they feel duped. They are feeling duped because they're saying there is no way that I've gone to some of the best schools, paid the best money, and still paying on those loans. And no one ever told us about the book by Wallace D. Wattles that was written in 1910. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles that was written in 1910. No one knows about it. So listen, guys. This is what I urge you to do. You want to be ahead? You want to be able to help other people? You want to be able to really be able to live the lifestyle that you know that it's your birthright? Read it. You have nothing else to lose. You have nothing else to lose. Read this. Commit it to memory. Do what it tells you to do. And something else, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Something else that I'm doing, once I finish reading the entire book, I am going to share certain formulas that is given to me while reading this book. It's like everything is manifesting. Things are just manifesting. I'm sitting in my home office and stuff just comes. So I'm going to share some of the secrets that has come to me. And then I'm going to want to be able to hear what has manifested with you as well, because you may have heard certain things, you may have seen certain things, you may have read certain things that may have manifested to you in a different form. Remember, in chapter 3, as it already says in chapter 3, and I want to quote it. I want to quote exactly what he says in chapter 3, which we're going to read, is opportunity monopolized. He speaks about, in chapter 3, formless stuff. This is so deep, folks. Listen, you got to wrap your arms around it. You have to read this. You have to listen to the audio. This is what I'm doing. I'm not telling you to do anything more than what I'm doing. While I am working, while I am on the phone with clients, whatever it is that I am doing, whether I'm in the midst of writing on my book or in the midst of getting some other things prepared, I am playing the audio. The audio is on YouTube. I play it and I keep it on loop. It just loops and loops and loops. And then I get this. Because certain things that I didn't hear the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 10th time, And then I'm hearing it. You know why I'm hearing it? Because that's the day that I'm supposed to hear it. See, the universe doesn't want to overwhelm you. See, the universe gives you and allows you to really hear things so you're not in a space of overwhelm. So even though I'm telling you from my experiences, with me listening to the audio over and over and over again and reading the book over and over and over again, I hear things, I see things that I hadn't heard, that I hadn't seen, and I know I read it, but it was not that day for me to hear it, for me to see it. It was the day that I got it to say, now you can add on, because it's a puzzle, people. It is a puzzle. I'm putting together a puzzle, and I implore you to do the same. Listen, folks, stay tuned as I will be reading chapter 3. I'm not too sure. I may do it Saturday, but I'm not too sure. To stay on the lookout for all the YouTubers. Again, please be sure to subscribe to the Show channel. I thank you guys for listening. For everyone who's listening on replay, tell me what this book is doing to you. Tell me if you're reading it. Tell me what's manifesting for you. Share with me. Tell me if you're sharing it with friends, family. Tell me what is happening in your universe now, since your hands are on The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I am AnneHumphrey, a transformational life coach that helps others, whether you are executives, whether you are leaders, community leaders, entrepreneurs, aspiring or seasoned, that's really truly ready to get out of your own way. And I am the creator of the Science of Getting Rich Mindset and Mastermind group here on Facebook. Thank you for joining Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, the Science of Getting Rich. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.